work that's caught our eye in recent days. The Land Rover Night Eyes campaign was created by Tag8 and facilitated by the Y&R agency. The latest invention gives drivers the illusion of approaching a herd of buffalo on a night game drive while they're actually in the city. It's a good idea. It was implemented by Continental Outdoor. The glowing eyes effect is created by LED panels at the back of the billboard. We can also tell you that Disney Infinity has just been launched in South Africa. The initiative features characters from Walt Disney and Pixar Studios' most popular films. Now, players can place toy versions of their favorite characters into a device called the Infinity Base and then transport them into the virtual game worlds of Monsters University, The Incredibles, Pirates of the Caribbean, and I guess a whole lot more. For the worldwide launch, a digital projection was placed over the White Cliffs of Dover on the south coast of England. At 80 metres high and 500 metres wide, this was, I'm told, the biggest projection ever in the United Kingdom. Now, Adelle Wapnick has just been named Chief Executive Officer of Lowe and Partners South Africa after her advertising agency Cross Colours was acquired by the globally aligned group. Her appointment ends a prolonged hiatus at the top of Lowe since the former Chief Executive left in September last year. Her big challenge, I think, is to merge two ad agency cultures together. Most importantly, as she's going to tell us in just a moment, to keep those clients happy. Welcome, Adelle.
Thank you.
An effective merger between two agencies. Before we talk about all that culture stuff, what drove this?
A number of things. I think Lowe's were looking to beef up their offering in South Africa, and especially to take care of North Africa, etc. So they did a bit of a due diligence in the African territories and decided that they needed more below the line and design services. I think from our perspective, I'd always really wanted to remain independent. But there came a time now, more recently, where I think personally I needed more of a challenge. I think when you're medium-sized and you're small and independent, you're quite limited, certainly by resources and all sorts of things. And I felt like the challenge. And I think also what drove us to make the decision was the fact that the people were really good people. We had been approached in previous years, and the chemistry and the feeling wasn't right for me. So it was part intuition and a bit of rationality, meeting them and seeing what kind of good people they are and what kind of a network they are. They're an amazing network.
Very different, though, owning your own business and managing everything internally and suddenly having international, I don't want to use the word masters, but people
call it pressure.
Who you report. Let's call it pressure. It's a different way of ad agency management, isn't it?
No, it is. I think that when you're independent, you can make decisions certainly based on what clients you want, who you retain, who you get rid of. I mean, and that happens in chemistry relationships. Whereas internationally, you have to be more careful of the decisions that you're making. And I think that there is global pressure in terms of how you are accountable.
Another essential part of the business is managing a culture change. There is a different way of doing it, particularly when someone comes in and says, well, I'm going to take over. How do you do that?
I think that's the more challenging thing. And I think in any takeover or merger or acquisition, it is the most challenging part. I think change for anybody is really, really difficult. Certainly for our agency going into that bigger structure, you have fallout. There's absolutely no question. And I think retaining talent is probably the biggest challenge that you have, because what often happens is the most talented people tend to start to look through nervousness or whatever it is. So calming that and having constant communication in the agency around what's going on so that there are no surprises for people, that they understand exactly what the vision is. And then the other thing is just essentially what mood do you want in the agency? What is it essentially that you're wanting to sell to what kind of clients? I think that there are different types of agencies for different types of clients. And we've got some hell of a big names in the industry, Unilever, Sasol, Nestle. As much as they're corporate and they're needing processes and procedures, they're also wanting solid, good, great creative based on good strategic insight. So you can't be a wacky hot shop in a corner, but you also don't want to be too staid, too formalized. So getting that balance right of what you want to be for yourselves and clients is quite tricky, bringing two agencies together.
Ad agency people, in managing them, I guess, need a bit of love, but we also know that advertising agencies themselves are not democracies. You need strong leadership. Difficult to find a balance?
It is. I think that balance is found very much in strength and in warmth. For me, it's very much about knowing exactly what I want to achieve for the agency and letting people know what that is through a sense of strength and skill and competence, no question. And then I think the rest of it is very much about the warmth and the sincerity with which you impart that stuff and also the way in which you nurture them through that process. So I think it's kind of a balance between knowing, listen, I'm not too easy on certain things that are required of the agency, but I'm also empathetic to the way it is that you want things done.
Adelle Wapnick, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
from
Jeremy.
Lowe and Partners. Just ahead on the programme, why a brand communications agency has hired a psychologist.
My moment is this moment will never come again.
News that moves. enca.com.